Hey guys, it's Yaya Diamond, and we have an amazing show for you today. Yes, definitely. I absolutely, okay, I won't say it. I love authors. Mm, I couldn't hold it. I do. I love authors, and I love having them on my show because it shows that everyone has a book inside of them, whether it be like a fantasy, a biography, a memoir, a children's book, maybe even a book that just has notes that you just want to share with people, or some kind of anything, a journal, whatever. I mean, books are amazing, and they line my office. I mean, I'm telling you, I have all kinds of books. I even have books with lines on it where I can write. Okay, that is even a book. So if you have a book inside of you, get it out there. Just like my next guest, Zarina. Let me tell you something. She got her book out, and I just want to welcome her to the show. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Yaya?
I'm doing good. So you have Dr. Widow, and let me ask you: is this your only book?
No, I have a couple of publications as well, like in academics, but this is my first title in any type of self help or near self help genre. So
Oh
this is
my
one,
God.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I have to go back a little bit and I have to ask what led up to this?
So, I mean, it's kind of a downer subject, but unfortunately, I lost my husband in a car crash in December of 2016. And I woke up one morning married, living my best life, two sweet babies at home, and my husband going to work every day while I was going to school. It was perfect. And by dinner that night, I was 30, single, and raising two infants under the age of 3 on my own. And that was my Friday in December of 2016. And so this book very much is the journey of how I got through a lot of that, and just internally reflecting on that walk that I had to take because I was given no choice.
Wow. 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 That is I am so sorry. And at the same time I mean, I know that, some people out there have had to go through this. Well, how did the book help you to get through this? Cuz I know you said this was your documentation of your journey. How
Yeah,
did this help you?
this was the book. I've written a couple of other books before in really dry academic type things, but this was the first book that I was never planning to write. It was the book I never knew I always needed to write for myself. I was in a position after I lost my husband where I didn't have the means to afford things like therapy, so I ended up going to online support groups like in Facebook and spaces like that, and just talking with other people that are going through this same process, struggling with the same struggles, dealing with their own challenges, because every grief journey is a little bit different. It was suggested to me that putting my story to paper would be helpful for me. And then eventually that turned into a sample chapter for a friend of mine in the support group who worked for a publisher. And that's how this kind of snowballed into the title that it is.
Wow. My goodness. My goodness. That's oh, oh. So how did you get through the book in writing the book? Was it in real time?
So, like I said, it kind of snowballed. I told my story to my support group friends. One of them stepped forward and said, "I'd really like to have you send a sample chapter of this to my boss, who is a publisher." And I said, "Okay." She's like, "Can I have 10 pages?" And so it took me a couple days to put 10 pages together, emailed it to her supervisor, and I got a call back right away. And they pretty much explained that they were on board to support the whole title and launch it, but they wanted to launch it at the start of the year. So I had about 30 days to produce a manuscript that was about 150 pages long to turn this notion of this reflective diary, if you will, into a book. And it took a lot of hard work, a lot of late nights, but I got it done.
In the end, when you had completed this work, how I mean, did you have time to even grieve?
So I feel like I wrote the book about 3 years after I had lost my husband, and I
Okay.
feel like the first 3 years was just go go go. I was waking up, changing a diaper, feeding a kid, making a bottle, getting to. I still was finishing my PhD at the time, which is another big key part of this book. Um, and so there was just no time for me to grieve in that first 3 years. And then after I sat down and actually processed my feelings through writing the chapters of this book, I felt relief. I felt more uplifted than I had in a really long time. And since publishing the book, I've been approached by many other widows, widowers in the community, just asking me to share my story in person or asking me to present at places. And there is absolute power in finding a community. And I never knew I would be part of this community of people who've lost partners and loved ones. But there is strength there. And yeah, it's been really powerful. And the book is structured in such a way that the chapters are kind of outlined as the stages of grief. So there's anger, there's denial, all of those things. And I felt every single one of those, sometimes more than once, and
Mm,
still do once in a while, to be honest.
right. Right. So now that you've gone through this and you're out on the outside, looking back, obviously you've had some great and perfect times. And happy to share those times with your husband. What is life like for you today, and what can we expect from you today?
I'd like to think that my husband, at the bottom of his heart, wanted my kids and I to have a rich, full life and to move on. And one of the best parting gifts that he provided us, I think, was me understanding that right away, even after he had passed. My kids do all the things that every other kid should do. They have their sports and their activities and their friends and their social groups, and they do all of those things. And I like to think that I've honored the dreams that we had together, because I think every couple plans like the long term growing old together, and I'm living that still, and honoring that maybe in a different way now, but still remembering like we wanted a place that our kids could grow up. I have made that happen. We've wanted our kids to excel at whatever they wanted to do. We're raising them that way. And I say we, right? Because his spirit kind of lives on and his memory lives on with us very much. But life absolutely still continues to happen. And, I'm a firm believer of, making the most of each day. Today is a present. That's why they call it the present. And so, moving on from here, I don't know what's going to happen next. It's still very exciting. It's all a mystery, but we're not going to take it for granted. I can tell you that.
Wow, I tell you, you are a very strong person. Very strong, very strong person. And you're right. I believe that if a person does go, they would want the best for you. They would want you to continue. So, what kind of advice do you give that person that may be going through this right now?
The first thing I say to folks that I meet that have just lost somebody or is still grieving the loss of somebody is absolutely you're not alone, and acknowledge that it sucks. Death sucks. Um, but it's the one thing we know is going to happen. And if it's the worst thing that can happen, and it has happened and now you've survived it, what does that survival look like for you? Are you going to live life? Are you going to enjoy things? Are you going to appreciate the things that maybe you did take for granted before because this happened? Or is this going to be the thing that drags you down too? And I think at the end of the day, when people really sit and think about it, they don't want to be dragged down by this. They want to be able to feel love and love themselves and be loved and share love with the world. Um, and that's going to look different than maybe it did before, but it's still a great thing to strive for.
Yeah, I agree with you. My gosh, my gosh. Well, Dr. Widow, where can people find that besides in our Amazon book club?
Right now, the book is available on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. It's going through a little bit of a facelift. We're getting some new cover art this year because it's been out for a while. So the cover may change in the next year, but it's definitely going to be available on those channels as well as local bookstores in the Southwest.
Mhm.
And hopefully beyond that too. We'll see.
Well, I wish nothing but the best for you. You can definitely get that at amazon.com/shop// Diamond. Go to the book club. All of the books are there, but especially her book, Dr. Widow, is there. If you're going through something and you need companionship, you need someone that's been there, done that. I think this book is going to be really great for you. Thank you so much, author Zarina, for being here and for sharing your story. It's been an intimate moment, and I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, anytime. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. And until next time, guys, bye.